Alright, here's a look of our interior with the dash in it. My side panels, I wrapped those metal plates I made in some leather I had here, and that looks really good. See how the dash is fitting. I've got these back panels out and finishing up the back panels here. Got my roll bar or strut bar just sitting there for now. I had to do a bunch of work on this, getting the strike set for the height of the back panels, and just a lot going on in this area, trying to do a blend from here to the Hellcat. Over here on the table, these are some little pieces I've fabbed up. I'm going to wrap this in carpet and do the blend from the back seat side down to the floor, and then I've got some extensions I've made for the factory seal plates, so I can use the factory seal plates out of the Hellcat. And these I'm probably going to wrap in this leather right here. That might work. Maybe that in the carpet, I don't know. Here's all my heat and air stuff. I'm trying to cut and modify all this down. So this is part of the original plenum right here, and then I've fabricated in this little tube right here, and then cut it open, and it's going to divert my air to my face vents, and trying to clear all my wiper system, and all of that is going on up under there, because I took off this much of it. The Hellcat come out in here somewhere, so that was all room for under dash stuff, and I got rid of it all now, and it's extremely tight fit. And then over here are my panels. These are my back panels. So these were kind of cut and shoved to fit, and parts of it wasn't long enough. I make these little trays, and I'll do fiberglass mat and lay that in there, and the time that gets done, it's pretty much the shape of that. But I'm going to fill all those with a little mat and resin, raise the landing on that a little bit, that door seal plate. Back panels, I've prepped these and put the places for the panel clips, but this this board that's used for this is so weak that I'll put glass mat both sides of it. Go ahead and cut that out. That mat will be all down in there. Then when that clip goes on, it's a good solid repair. Here's the one for the front door I've already done. So this has been wrapped in mat, so I've got mat that goes down under that clip and out the other side, and then a layer of mat on this side. So those are really strong, makes a really good panel, and it doesn't take that long to wrap that. I just wrap this side, let that set, grind it off, flip it, wrap the other side, and then you're ready to put some epoxy on it, and then put whatever you want on it.
Well, TJ, finally I'm wrapping up these interior panels. It's been a long road coming, having to set the doors and the front panels, everything involved with making the two of them match up and cut. I've had to cut the depth of it here to move them in to match the front doors. It's been a lot. These back panels, these are ready. I'm fixing to put this in epoxy. I had to add a little fiberglass material there and there, and shaped it around the framing for the back seat. And I'll put all this in there and show you in a second. I'll put you in a 16 gauge metal here. It's riveted and weld bond, two-part weld bond adhesive with rivets, and then finish that out. That way I have a good strong place for your arm, or somebody pushes on it, and the piece of felt that goes through here. I did the same surround the seat belts. Put a 16 gauge piece in here, and surrounds where the little seat belt bracket trim bezel goes right there, and fixing to epoxy them. So I've done a lot on these. Not as much as the front ones. The front door panels, I actually moved this whole area right here, moved it back because it needed to be shorter for my dash. But and this one, same way, got my metal plate in there for my trim bezel for the seat belt. And then my inner pieces, the inner panels, so these will be done in the black leather, stitched leather. These will be the seat insert color, the fabric that goes in there. And these are just those little thin little panels, and I always wrap them in this real lightweight mat. It's actually for like model car, airplane stuff. But it works real good for this because I get a good thin layer of mat on there, and it allows these clips place to go. And it's real solid. So when I get all these little clips are going to slip right in there, and that landing's going to be real strong. With this wood like it is, it just falls apart. It absorbs moisture, and much better way of doing it. So these two got to cure a little more. I just put the material on those, I don't know, an hour or so ago. They're almost cured. And then these I'm fixing to get in the booth to get ready for epoxy, but I'm going to set it all in there and show you how this looks already. Well, TJ, it's a big moment for the interior, and I want to show you what these door panels look like all together. I've got all 4 panels cut and fit, and I've highly modified all 4 of them to fit them into the Charger and then make them blend into the Hellcat. And then I'm fixing to send them out and have stitched leather and inserts done just like what's on the seat. So they're going to match very, very well. But let me give you a closer look at how all this came out.
Here's my Fessler door panels. And this front one up here, I've actually changed this part of the insert was a lot longer. And I've cut it and moved it back so that it would clear the dash, and did the insert over here on the side, the inset, and put my speakers in there. And the back, I've built all my seat belt stuff in there, and the 2 look really good. Down here at the bottom, I fabricated a little extension to get to that seal plate, so that'll be the factory Hellcat seal plate. And back here at the back, I made a little piece to cover the gap of the carpet where the Charger and the Hellcat are a little bit different. I'll show you on this side a little closer. Fabricated in this little piece, which I'll wrap it in leather, and it'll kind of match that piece. And then this little piece, I'll wrap it in the carpet material, and then all that'll be wrapped in the carpet material all the way around where the seats will sit back in there, and that'll look good. So I'm really excited about getting these door panels done. It's just a lot of work trying to blend these 2 together, but when it's all said and done, you won't be able to see where the Hellcat stops and the Charger starts, because like this is the end of my Hellcat door welded into the Charger, and then all this piece kind of blends it all right on into the dash. So very excited about the door panels, and glad that they are done. I'm fixing to yank them off and send them to my interior guy, David Tucker. He does an outstanding job, and can't wait to get them back.
Alright, TJ, now that I got the interior panels gone off to the interior shop to get those wrapped, it's time to get back on this, back on the dash, because I'd like to get this dash put in ultimately. But as I start to install the dash, I see more stuff that needs to be done around the surround and stuff like that. But for now, I'm gonna focus on getting this air and heat working. I've got my wiper system in here running. That's a homemade wiper system. I use the transmission out of the Charger. I've got the motor out of the Hellcat, and a little heim joints and stuff, and it was working. You can't even hear it running. It's working so good. It's sitting here running right now. But the Hellcat was so long right here. All my air conditioner and heater, defrost and all that was up in that area, so I'm having to whittle it all down. So I'm doing that by, this used to be a big plenum, and I've cut everything off with a piece of the receiver for the dash vents, and and then a way to mount it. I got to come up with a way to mount it, and then enough to clear that actuator. I've inserted these little tubes in here. I've got this one closer, and then just cut it open so that now the air will come out here, and a tube that'll run around to the side vents. It's definitely cut and shoved a bit. Then underneath there, my defrost is right under this wiper system. So somehow I've got to get a tube onto that. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that on both sides to have defrost, because you're going to have defrost. But that's what I'm working with right now, and at this point in the game, I have to figure, I mean, it has to work. There has to be some way to make all this work, and you know, just hold on loosely and cut and shove the bit, and hopefully get something that'll work. But I'll give you a little closer look at all the stuff I got going here.
My wipers run off a little battery out of my jet ski. It's 12 volt for now, but you can see how that wiper system works, and it's just right inside there. I mean, it's going to be so tight. This box here, I've actually moved all that in a little bit, and then once I get this fabricated, then I'll come back here and glue and adhere that and clean it up, make it look a little better. I've got to put a bracket to hold it down, but this will get me a long ways. And then you can see what I've got to work with for my defrost. I mean, it is just a tight little area right here, and really right on that other side. So I'm not sure Mike could scavenge out of this little hole right here. This was a defrost vent that went through for your doors on both sides. But you can see how that dash framing is fits like a glove in there. I've had to move it around just a little bit, but couldn't do much because I set the dash location back in its factory spot here. I had to lean it just a little bit, but it matches the console. So I installed the console, pulled the dash up to it, then made all the bracketry, because everything on the floor is Hellcat. Everything up here has been fabricated and located. See over here on my dash, here's my dash. So you can see where I've cut the front edge off of the dash all the way down, and I fabricated these out of some 1/4 inch plate I had for my AC vent, my defrost vents, and I've got little notes here to do this and that. And on this deal here, you can see I've got wrote right here black out, because just the top of that I've got to black out. The car is so low, the dash started coming up too high out of the window, and it's just been amazing to try to get this thing all to fit, because I have taken this much off this dash. I've taken, probably that much off that dash, and then had to raise this landing a little bit to cover it all. Then on this other side, this is all the pieces I'm working with. This is actually the receiver for the driver's side air vent, and I've modified it to receive that air hose there, and it's got to be, it's still touching. I've got to whittle it down even more. And then this is on the passenger side, and I've got to whittle and fabricate it up. But once I get these hooked into the round vents, we'll be good to go. And then over here, these are the old defrost tubes. It's so tight that this won't even work. I cut this off the original plenum, and I've got these installed up under the dash. Yeah, it's just crazy. And like I said, it has got to work and got to fit in there somehow. So let me piddle with this today, and then see where we get with it.
Well, I think I finally got something that's going to work out here. I've been looking around for a way to get out from under these center face vents. So these little center face vents, they've got a little indexing hole where they went factory and locates it, and my outer bezel for the dash goes right in there with the vents, and it works perfect for locating and indexing this opening right here. And then coming out of it, the dash is so close touching it, it has to come out right where it is, because the dash is actually laying on top of these, which gives me no room for my defrost vent. And that's what I've been fighting this whole time, to come up with something for my defrost vent. But I found in both my doors, my door defrost on the Hellcat had these little vents in there. And just so happens it's the exact right size, and I have a place I can put a little screw on each side of it. I've had to heat and push the end of it down a little right there. It's the right size for my hose. My hose fits on it real nice. It's going to go to my defrost. My defrost vent fits this hose real nice. And in the way it's made, and it's exact size, and it fits perfectly right below that. I just have to do a little indentioning to get it in that spot. And then with my vent here, and drop a little hose down right there, my defrost is going to work. And then everywhere back there in the back where I'm having trouble with all the wiper transmission in the way, I've just formed this little plate right here, and I'll just cap it off. All right, TJ, I just want to stop here a minute and show you how cool all this is. So I've got this all mocked up and kind of Frankensteined up here to get all my alignments on. When the outer bezel strikes in, all the tubes have to line up for all your air. So I'm trying to locate them all in that spot. And I've got them all in good. This one's pretty good. This one needs a little bit of finish work on it. And then I'm trying to figure out a way to locate this one. But it just looks so cool, I wanted to show you how this looks. And then with all that going on, I got my wiper motor set up here to run. The only place I'm having a problem is right here. And I'll put a little bracket, or I'm not sure what I'll have to do right here. I've just got this last little bit. I mean, I've done so much clearance, and this little dude here will be out and up just a little bit more. But I mean, it's splitting hairs there. There's no room left right there.
Get a better shot of it here. So I mean, it's looking pretty good in there. Pretty factory. These are pretty solid. This one's pretty much done. I got to glue it up and seal it up. This one here I've got to finish. I'm just trying to get this tube to clear this. When all that's on there, you can see, I mean, we're just out of room. I've got to get enough to get the hose on that. And then I said I've cut all that out for that one. And that one was barely touching. I've moved that all the way in. Then my defrosts are just brutal. But that's the little end piece off the door panel vents. So here you see I've got the bezel hung up in the air so I can index my vents. You can see how it just clears, and it is tight, man, it is tight. And I still should have full volume of face air. The defrost lines are going to be a little smaller than what was on the Challenger, but the window's a little smaller on the Charger. So, yeah, that's my homemade transmission with my Heim joint and Hellcat motor I put over there, come out from under the hood. Pretty cool. And here's your back side of your dash. I've got it all cut apart, and I've had to cut all the ribs off and whittle the ends down, cut the airbag out. I'm working on the defrost holes. So those are all the holes I drilled in the 1/4-inch plate. And then I'll go in there and kind of clean this up a little bit. But I'm going to try to leave most of the holes in the top if I can, so the material don't start pulling away in the sun. That little bit in the middle there will help it. The fabric on the outer side out here, you can see. And then this is my vent for the side over here. Goes in these. So I'm gonna try to take it and somehow make this stay on that piece on the dash. So the dash goes in, all this goes in together. We'll see. And then these will go. These are from my vintage air kit I had. And that'll be bolted in from the bottom, and then there's your defrost. Alright, this is going to be my first complete test fit with everything in place. And you can see now I got these boxes, air ducts in there, and they're nice and solid and removable. And this little vent, that door vent, I put a little flare on the edge of that. And, I mean, it's close, you can see. I mean, it's just, I have to put this on that before it all goes together. Even the dash will be pushing on that. I mean, the dash is just right there. We're splitting hairs. Then that's for my sensor there, my little dash sensor. Kind of split it up a little bit and put that vent, I made it to the dash, and then the rest of these. And they all index right into that dash bezel. And then I've got 2 screws and a bracket there. So that's pretty strong, and it clears. There's a lot going on right there. But it seems to work out really, really well. And then here's my dash. So I cleaned out my vents for my defrost, and I went ahead and mounted all that up. And there's your defrost. Comes right through there. It'll seal. I had to add a little landing around this to get it back to where that airbag is. But now that'll seal up good. In this box I removed from that plenum, and then made a little bracket and connected it into this and changed that vent around. But now that's good and solid, and that hose will just go right on it, and it's tight. Every bit of this is turned as far as it can go. This hose is as tight as it can get. This is as tight as it is between the two, the other hose. I mean, I've had to shave the dash down here, kind of narrow it, paint the front of it black. Actually, every millimeter has been used up. Here it is. It's coming together. It looks really, really good. But it's like a 3-headed snake right now, trying to keep up with what's what, and cut and shove to fit. And still got to figure out what I'm gonna do all in the front end. I'm probably going to have to widen it a little bit in the front for these wheels and tires to turn. I really don't want to have to cut that wheelhouse opening. I want it to look as natural as possible. But most of the back, got my 12-inch wide wheels fit, and I took all the suspension out of that and articulated that completely up and down so that it goes all the way to full extension and full compression without touching the body. Got my bumper pretty much fit in place. These cell panels, it really looks wider. I don't know if it shows up in the camera, but leaning those in looks nice. So I could flush fit that back window. My backup camera's in place. My push button for your key fob. Door up. See how all that panel looks. It's a huge amount of modification of that panel. I even sectioned that and moved all of that landing back so that I could have enough room to put the indentation for the dash. And then from here in is all Hellcat. All the carpet goes right back in, seats, plugs, wiring. Still got Freon and antifreeze in it. Just put the battery back in it and the wiring inside, and it'll start back up.